without a place to stay, and I was really having a real tough time.
I had a feeling of being displaced, not knowing where I was or who I was anymore, being torn inside.
I didn't know where we were going to go. I really didn't. I thought me and him was just going to be out on the streets.
And when we came into the program, I expected to see rows of beds or something like a shelter would be, but it's not at all like a shelter. When you get into the program, it's quite different than what you'd expect. They made you feel at home. It was like home.
Yeah. You want to take your coat off and stay a little while?
The Interfaith Hospitality Network is a program that enables churches and synagogues to work together to help homeless families, hundreds of thousands of Americans who simply can't afford a place to live. Each congregation participating in the network helps to ease this crisis by providing meals and overnight accommodations for 1 week, once every 2 to 3 months. The volunteer hosts set up the hospitality room, cook dinner, and stay overnight with the guests. And they do more. They listen. They care.
How's that? That's cold water now. You don't have to worry about it.
They make a difference.
Okay, you can.
Okay, you're all done.
Very good.
I think I had the stereotyped impression that they were drunks and people who were kind of on the edge of society, not normal and not desirable, and I didn't really have any kind of understanding of what they were like as people. Whereas now I think I understand more that these are folks just like you and me who unfortunately in our economic situation today are down on their luck and can't afford a place to live.
This is my son. Last year, I was involved in an accident. I was hit by a car, and a doctor kept me out for a month and a half.
Good boy.
But I lost a lot of money, you know, within that time, and that's what put me back.
Is it hard on your pride to be homeless?
It is very hard. Especially, you know, when you go out and you see people and they say, you know, or you go to apply for another apartment. All right, where you living now? Or, you know, you tell them and they look at you like, what? You know, they think you trash, some people. They look at you down. They don't look at, they judge a book by the cover. They don't look at it from the inside out.
Karen Olson founded IHN in 1986 as a personal response to the rapidly worsening crisis of homelessness.
One day I was on my way to a meeting and I was already late, and I was about to pass this woman out in the front of Grand Central Station who I'd probably passed maybe 30 times. She sat there on a crate. She had safety pins to button her coat. She was in her early 70s. She was frail. She always looked down like there was no hope. And I had passed her by, and this time I couldn't. And I ran across the street, just an impulse, to get a sandwich. And I came back with a sandwich, and I just wanted to drop it and run, because I had my own personal needs at hand, really. But as I came back, I went to give her the sandwich, and she grabbed my hand. And I ended up staying there for about 20 minutes talking with her. She was hungry for food, but she was more hungry for human compassion and nourishment. And that really opened my eyes and my heart to homeless people, because they're people just like you and me. And the shabby appearance, the tattered clothes, everything faded as I looked into her eyes.
After this experience, Karen and her 2 sons began to bring sandwiches to the homeless in New York City. But she soon realized that these people sleeping in bus terminals and train stations were only the tip of the iceberg. Beyond the most visible homeless, there were thousands of homeless families that people did not see.
And we sat on all these resources in terms of churches and synagogues and volunteers and affluence across the state. but yet people in the suburban and rural communities were unaware of homeless families. So my goal was to provide that awareness, that connecting link, to bring people of means with those without means to help the homeless.
This is a way of integrating that religious experience into our everyday life, and a much more profound way of realizing our religious beliefs.
A lot of our parishioners have described it as probably the best program that we have ever conducted at St. Bernard's. And by best program, I think it's been educational for a lot of our parishioners. It's been a community builder for the parish itself in terms of getting volunteers to work together, to know one another. It certainly has been a catalyst also in terms of providing spiritual enrichment.
Many of the guests have commented that they don't feel like they're in a shelter. They've been able to keep their dignity. They feel like they're in a temporary home, not only because of the facilities, but especially because of the warmth of volunteers.
During the week, the host congregation is primarily responsible for providing evening and overnight facilities. But the network is really a 24-hour program. Early each morning, the families are transported in a network-supplied van to a day facility. The van will bring the families back again in time for dinner. Barbara Aronoff is a full-time professor of education and a part-time van driver.
I don't look at getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning in any academic way. It's a commitment I've made that just has to do with me as a human being caring about other people. And I don't spend each day trying to analyze what I'm doing. I really just do my job like everyone else. And if anyone asks me what I do, I'm a van driver.
The day facility gives guests a place to stay as they search for housing.
I get very discouraged. I get very discouraged because there's nothing in there in my range. There's nothing that I can afford.
Homelessness is a housing crisis. Since 1981, federal housing programs have been cut back by 75%. Today, even people who have jobs can't always afford a place to live. Anna Alston is another network guest who's working full-time.
It's not where you can just sit here and just go collect welfare. You've got to do something. You've got to be doing something. I mean, when Maureen comes each week, she wants to know, hey, what's going on in your life?
What about looking in the paper? Have you had any luck with
That's how I got
one?
that one. I saw three apartments.
Okay.
Anything else that I've been to see, I've done on my own by picking up through the Star Ledger and like getting Cheryl's husband Mike to take me. Or
weekly, I visit each church that the guests are at. And I see how they're doing in their housing search, how they're doing in their job search. My main concern is that they are actively looking. You get to work one-to-one with people. You get to help people in your own backyard. It's kind of like the Peace Corps, but not going away. You know, you can kind of do something hands-on without it being your profession.
If it seems a little like something outside yourself, if you just give it a chance and say, I'm going to just give it a try for a week, you'll find that it's very hard to leave once you begin.
I can't imagine not helping when the Interfaith Network provides a way to help that is easy and convenient, and we're not doing very much. Each of us alone is doing very little, and yet altogether I think we make a difference.
I think this is a really creative way that our society is responding to a problem that exists today.
It just gives me a warm glow inside when you can see the smile on the children's faces. That's all the thanks that I need.
In the last analysis, it's that human warmth and compassion that's going to solve this tragedy of homelessness. It's up to each one of us to take this very personally. And that's what this program does. It allows people to touch people in a very, very personal way.